Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be sharing the Stamps of Life Club products for March 2023. And in this video, you will see an unboxing of the club items as well as my design process for the cards that I made with these items. I want to let you know that I will have links to the clubs in the description box of this video and on my blog. So if you're interested in joining the club or even upgrading your membership, check those links out. Also, remember that using my link just tells the Stamps of Life that I referred you, and you will get 500 bonus club points to spend in the Stamps of Life store. You can also use my promo code, which is Lisa Mears. So starting out, let's take a look at the Stamp and Die Hard Club set for March. It's called Frogs2Stamp. This set has 2 frogs, a lily pad. There's also a fly and a separate stamp that is a tongue, which you can add to the frog to make it look like it's catching a fly. It's so cute. There are also several sentiments. If you're a member of the Stamp Club, you'll get the stamp set, and if you're a member of the Die Hard Club, you'll receive both the stamp set and the coordinating dies. One perk for being in the Stamp or Die Hard Club is that you can get a 15% discount when you shop on the Stamps of Life website. So now let's take a look at the March card kit. This month's kit is called Just a Note. Every card kit comes with an inspiration card that has sample cards that you can make with the contents of the kit. Every card kit also comes with a large plastic storage envelope. You can use that to store your cardstock or even the contents of the kit, and you also get 10 envelopes for A2 size cards. There are 12 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock sheets. You get guava, sky, candy, kiwi, grass, blue jay, mint chip, and grape, as well as 4 sheets of the powdered sugar, which is your standard white cardstock. You also get 3 sheets of the green mirrored foil paper. You also get a paper pad. This paper pad is the Just a Note paper pad. So I'll flip through this so that you can see the papers that are included. There are also 4 sheets that you can use your dies to cut apart. So this sheet has the frogs from the Frogs2Stamp stamp set. And then this sheet has the add-on set, which is from the More Frogs2Stamp set. So if you actually have that set of dies, you can die cut that second sheet with those dies. So you can see all of the colors. The colors in this pad are the same colors of the cardstock that's included in the kit. And you get 2 of each one of the pattern papers. You also get a mini stamp set that has 2 frog stamps as well as several sentiments on there. And you also get a word die. The word die this month is Just a Note. And the font in that word die, it matches the same font that you see here in the paper pad. You also get a sheet of puffy stickers with frogs in various sizes. There's also a sheet of adhesive pearls. These are light purple. They're super pretty. There's a 4-pack of paper clips, and these are shaped like an arrow. They have a really fun shape on them. You can use them in a planner. You can also use these on your cards and your traveler's notebooks. The die set this month is a set of 3 cloud dies as well as some frog dies. So these dies for the frogs will cut out the stamps that are included in the kit, and I just love these clouds because they have stitching all around. They're so pretty. Wait till you see these die cut. And last but certainly not least is a beautiful light purple ribbon. Look how pretty that is. So if you're a member of the Card Kit Club, you will receive a 20% discount on all products in the Stamps of Life store. So let's go ahead and make some cards. I'm going to start out by pulling the papers out of the paper pad that have the frogs, because remember, you can use your dies to die cut these and they make for such quick and easy cards. So I'm just going to use the shadow dies on the die set, and I'm going to put some mint tape here on my paper to hold the dies down, and then I'll run those through the die cutting machine. And just from that paper pad, you get 18 frogs and 2 lily pads. But of course, if you need more, you always can use the matching stamps from the Stamp and Die Hard Club. For this first card, I'm going to bring in some Slimline border dies, and I love using Slimline border dies because they're very versatile in that you can use them for a Slimline card or even cut them down for an A2 card. But this set I have is from Sunny Studio Stamps, and it includes 2 hillside borders, a cloud border, a grass border, as well as a wave border. And for this card, I'm going to use a grass border as well as one of the hillside borders. These dies are such a staple in my craft room. These are my go-to dies when I'm creating outdoor scene cards, which I'm going to make right now. So I'm using the hillside border die. I'm actually going to make this look like water. So I'm just going to create a curve out of this pattern paper. And then I also took the grass die and die cut some of the kiwi cardstock for the grass. And I also cut down a piece of the light blue cardstock. This is the Blue Jay cardstock. I cut it to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I'm going to ink up these pieces of cardstock, starting with the light blue rectangle piece, which is going to be my card background. I chose to use the light blue because this is going to represent the sky in my scene. So I'm taking some sky ink and I'm just inking around the edges of the solid cardstock. So this is one way of adding some depth to your solid cardstock, is just adding ink to the edges. I'm also going to come into this hillside border, which represents my water in my scene, and I'm adding some of the sky ink to the edges of this cardstock as well. I'm also going to take my pool ink. Now the inks that I'm using today are inks from the Stamps of Life. They match the colors of the pattern paper and the cardstock. So I'm going to add some of the pool ink along the edges of the piece that represents the water, just because I wanted it a little bit brighter like the ocean color. So adding that pool, it gives it that look. And then I'm going to take the grass dye and I'm going to add some of the kiwi ink to the edges of the grass. So this grass die is the same shape as the hillside die, and you can see that they layer perfectly on one another. So I'm going to add glue to the back of this hillside border piece, and I'm going to add it to the grass. That way you can see a little bit of grass peeking up behind the water. For my card, I'm also going to cut out some of these cattails from the pattern paper. And then I also die cut the cloud dies. Look at that stitching along the outside edge. I just love that detail. So I'll add 2 clouds to the top of my cardstock. I am going to make sure that the clouds extend beyond the top of the cardstock. I just think it looks better that way, and I'll snip off the excess clouds. You can use those pieces that were snipped off to add some more clouds to the scene. So here I'm just lining up the straight edge with the top of the cardstock. And then I'm going to add the water with the grass onto the bottom portion of that card. And I'll turn that piece over and just snip off the excess cardstock. Because I snipped off that extra cardstock, I'm just going to use my pool ink and add some more ink to the edges of that water. I'm going to add the cattails that I fussy cut from the pattern paper. I'll add 3 of them behind the grass layer. And then I'm going to add the puffy sticker of the frog. I'll add 2 more of the cattails in the water in just a moment, but for now I'm going to go ahead and stamp out the sentiment. So first I just stamped it on some white cardstock to make sure that everything was great with the stamp and it stamped okay. And then I just stamped it on to the water part of my scene with some black ink. And now I'm going in and just adding 2 more of the cattails in the water. I cut down a piece of the pattern paper with the diagonal stripes to 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I used a rectangle die to cut the center out because this paper is going to be underneath the scene that I created, and I didn't want to waste all of that pretty pattern paper by hiding it underneath this scene. So I just used a rectangle die to cut that paper out so I can save it for another card. So I added the pattern paper to an A2 size card base, and then I add the scene right to the top. And I'll finish up this card by adding some of the purple pearl adhesives to my card. And that's going to complete this card. So for my next card, I have a piece of the cattails paper, and I cut that to 4 inches by 4¼ inches, and I have a piece of the grass colored cardstock. This is the green cardstock. I die cut with a grass die and just added some green ink to the edge for some more depth. I did cut down a piece of white cardstock to 4 by 5¼ just so that I can layer both of these pieces onto that white cardstock. So I added the cattails paper at the top and then the grass paper at the bottom, and I just snipped off the extra grass. When I use those border dies like the grass or the hill border die, if I snip off extra on the side, I do save those pieces because I can always use those to create a small scene on another card. I go ahead and add the lily pad to the card with the frog, and I stamped out a sentiment that says, "You make me smile." I did use a brown ink for the sentiment because it matched the brown in the cattails. And then I also cut a piece of this green polka dot pattern paper to 4¼ by 5½, and I also cut the center out with a rectangle die. I'm adding that paper to an A2 size white card base, and then I'm going to add the card layer on top, and that will complete that card. For my next card, I have the cattail paper again, and I'm using a scallop circle die that I die cut out of the guava cardstock. And any of the extra products that I use in this video, they will be linked in the supplies section of my description box as well as on my blog. So if you're interested in seeing what the products are or where you can purchase them, if you're interested in doing so, check out those links. So I'm going to use this frog puffy sticker, and I'm going to actually put it over top of one of the cattails, and I'm going to frame it with the scalloped circle to make a little bit of a scene. So I'm just trying to find a cattail that I can use that's not going to have any of it peeking out above its head because I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to use one of the shorter ones, and you'll see that the shorter one with this darker green leafy bottom is the perfect size, and the cattails don't poke out above the frog's head. So I'm going to place my scallop circle die right over the top of that area, making sure the frog is centered inside the circle. I'm going to hold down the die with some mint tape and run it through my die cutting machine. And I did take the puffy sticker off before running it through the die cut machine. So it gives me the scalloped border as well as the inside, but I'm only going to be using the inside piece. You can see that it's going to fit perfectly inside of the pink scalloped circle that I previously die cut. Next, I die cut a piece of white cardstock using a stitched rectangle die, and I'm going to add the scalloped circle to that white cardstock. So I want to make sure that the cattail pattern paper is aligned straight. So when gluing it down, I would glue down the cattail paper first and then add the scallop around it. I also fussy cut out 2 of the lily pads, one of the smaller lily pads and one of the larger ones. So you can see the different pattern papers from the pad. One set is smaller and one is larger, so I just fussy cut one from each. So here I'm going to go ahead and glue down the cattail paper first, and then I'll go ahead and glue down the scalloped circle. And then I'll add the frog to the center, and I'm going to put the frog right over top of the cattail that is right in the center of that circle. And again, making sure that I position it well enough so that the cattails don't extend beyond the top of the frog. So I'm just going to do the best I can there to try to get him positioned. And then I'm going to add the 2 lily pads, the larger one underneath the smaller one. And then I'm going to stamp out the sentiment that says Happy Birthday. I think I used this sentiment in a previous card, but I make the most birthday cards out of any of the cards that I make, so I like to use birthday sentiments whenever possible. What type of cards do you all make most often? Leave me a comment and let me know. So I'll add this layer to a piece of the guava cardstock. I cut that guava cardstock slightly bigger than the white cardstock, so it measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and then I'll add that to an A2 size white card base. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I cut the lily pad paper to 4 by 5 1/4. I also cut a lily pad using the shadow die from the Frogs2Stamp die set. Cut that out of the pink dot pattern paper, and I'm just inking up the edges with some candy ink. I also cut a piece of the blue polka dot paper, and it's about 1.5 inches tall by 4 inches. Actually, I think mine's a little bit larger than 4 inches, but I will snip off the excess once I add it to the card. So I go ahead and add the lily pad to the shadow. The shadow I just die cut out of white cardstock. And I did cut it straight edge, but I'm just using scissors to cut a little curve on the top. So you can always use a hillside die to do this, but I just wanted to create my own curve because I didn't want the steep hill like some of those border dies give you. I'm adding some ink to the edges of that blue pattern paper to add some depth to that paper, and then I'll add it to the card layer. And then I'll just snip off that extra cardstock so that the width is 4 inches, the same as that card layer. And then I'm just going to add some more ink to the edge that I snipped off to make sure it has ink along the edge. I fussy cut some more cattails from the pattern paper, and I also die cut a crown out of the guava cardstock. There is a die in the Frogs2Stamp die set that is a crown, so that's what I used. I added the lily pad, and now I'll add the crown to the frog's head. I'll glue the frog to the card. And after I do that, I will add the cattails, and I'm going to tuck one behind the frog, and then the other two, I'll just put in the white areas of the pattern paper. Notice when I cut the cattails out, I also cut out the little swirl of water that's below it, just to make it look like it's sitting in water. So here I tuck in the cattail behind the frog, and notice that the little leaf that's part of the cattail, I actually pulled it in front of the frog to make it look like the part of the frog is sitting behind it. I think that also adds for some more depth to your card. I stamped out the sentiment, "Don't forget to love yourself," and I cut it out with my scissors, and then I backed it up on some guava cardstock, and I'll add it to the card so that it's flush with the left side of the card, and then I'll add that layer to a piece of the guava cardstock that I cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and then I will add that to an A2 size card base. I love using the images from the pattern paper just to add them to my card. So that's another way of using your pattern paper, as you have seen me do in this video. Just fussy cut them out and use them to add to your pattern paper or to add to your scene on your card. For my next card, I have a piece of purple pattern paper, the dot paper. It's 5 1/4 by 4, and then I cut the striped paper to 4 3/4 by 3 1/2, and I layered those two pieces together. And then I took some dies from Sunny Studio. I have a scalloped heart with dots and then a stitched heart, and these layered together. So the scalloped heart is out of the grape cardstock, and then I die cut a piece of white cardstock for the stitched heart that layers on top. And I'm going to add that to the center of the pattern paper, but first I'm going to add this really pretty ribbon underneath. I love this ribbon. I don't think I've seen this style ribbon before from Stamps of Life, but it has a really pretty, almost like a checkerboard design on it, and it just is a really pretty purple. Anyway, I'm going to put the ribbon underneath the heart, and I stamped out a sentiment. The sentiment I'm using says, "Everything is better when we're together." So I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive tape on the left and right side of my ribbon, and that will help secure this to the back of my card. So I'll peel off the backing and put the ribbon underneath the heart, and then I'll wrap or tuck around the back of the card, the ribbon that's on the right side, and then I'll do the same thing to the left. So just peel back the backing and then hook it to the back of the card. That'll help keep this ribbon in place. And then I'll go ahead and add the heart as well as the frogs and the sentiment. When adding the sentiment, I'm making sure that it is even over top of the ribbon. So kind of like centered over that ribbon and centered in the middle of the heart. And then I'm going to put my frogs so that they are kind of leaning towards each other. I'm also going to add a crown. I die cut the crown out of some of the pixie cardstock from my stash. This is light purple cardstock, and I did ink up the edges with some pixie ink as well. So I added that layer to a white A2 size card base, and then I tied the purple ribbon in a bow and added it with a glue dot on top of the ribbon that's on the card. Just added it to the left of the sentiment, and then I'm going to add some of the purple pearls to the card as well. So I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which card is your favorite. And as always, I will have up close pictures of all of my cards on my blog, as well as card measurements. So if you want to recreate any of these cards, you can hop over there and you'll find all that information. Keep in mind, all product links as well as links to the clubs will be down in the description box below. And as always, I appreciate when you use my links because it does help support my channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like watching videos like this, be sure to click that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.